Put your camera face on. Are you ready? Good girl. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be about a 2014 Buick Enclave. This vehicle's got a bad power steering pump, and the repair procedure is going to be the same for this vehicle as, say, a Chevy Traverse, GMC Acadia, maybe an older Saturn Outlook. So come along, we're going to swap out this pump. You ready? Alright, let's do it. So the power steering pump on this car lives right up here. I don't think you can see it, but it's right up in there, back side of the motor. So to access that, we're going to remove a couple of the, well, this is the rear and then the front cradle bolts. We're going to drop the whole engine cradle down about 4 inches, and that'll give us just enough room to get in there and wiggle that thing out of there. Using a 1/2 inch ratchet, insert it right there into the end of the tensioner, remove tension on the belt, remove the belt from the power steering pump pulley. There are two 15mm bolts that secure the pump to the engine. One of them is right there, just to the lower right of the pulley. And the other one can be seen and there's the other one right there. To gain access to the pump, we're going to remove that bolt right there. That's a 21mm, and then those two 15mm bolts. We're also going to do the same on the front side. We're going to put a jack underneath the subframe. We may have to loosen that one right there, but some cars you don't, some you do. We'll find out when we get there. Aside from the two bolts that hold the power steering pump in place, there's the return hose right here, which is a low pressure hose, and then there's the high pressure hose right above it. This one's just held on with a spring clamp or a 10mm bolt. You can pull that 10mm bolt out of the way. The new pump that we got is from GM, and it actually comes with this little piece on it, but sometimes it's easier just to pull that 10mm bolt out and get this whole thing out of the way. And then there is what I believe it's a 16mm line nut on top. And so we're going to disconnect those two, we're going to pull the two bolts out, and we'll get this pump out of here. Make sure you have a catch pan underneath the car because it's going to dump all the fluid that's in the reservoir. Next, we're going to remove that bolt on the back side of the engine using a 3/8 ratchet, a 2-foot extension with a 15mm swivel on the end. And now we'll remove the side bolt holding that power steering pump in place. Put my light back up in there so I can see what I'm doing here. So with all the bolts and line connections removed, it's just a matter of wiggling this thing out of there. Okay, we got to get this pulley off because we got to put it on our new one. So we're going to use a pulley remover. If you don't have one of these, you can get one of these at your local parts store. If you go to a AutoZone or Advanced Auto, a lot of times they'll rent them to you. You pay for the tool, you use it, then you take it back and they give you back your money. And now we're going to put this pulley on our new pump. Alright, we're going to put the new pulley, we're going to put the old pulley on the new pump. And how this works is with the kit comes all kinds of little gizmos like this here. This is going to thread into the end of the pump. Just thread that in until it's finger tight. You don't need to tighten it with a wrench. This piece threads through this piece, and eventually it'll thread onto there once we put the pulley in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this end into the vise. I find this the most effective. I've done it with wrenches and ratchets and everything. This is the easiest way to do it. Clamp this end into the vise like this here. Once this is threaded on there, and then just by turning this nut clockwise, it's going to force the pulley into place. So the pulley's going to go on. Let me point this out real quick. Make sure you press the pulley on with the lip on the outside. You can press it on wrong. You'll hate yourself for it. Okay. Let me grab a wrench for that, and we'll get her pressed on there. I find that the easiest way to do this is just to clamp this in the vise. I'm sure everybody's got their way. This is my way. And we'll just tighten this nut. And it's pushing that pulley right on the shaft of the pump. Check it real quick here. Nope, got a ways to go yet. I'm going to back it off here just so I can see. Yep, we're there. We should be able to just spin the pulley now. There we go. Right where it needs to be. Okay, let's go put it back on. Okay, before you put the pump back on, make sure you replace the O-ring on the pressure line. That's important. I guess I should notate, I just changed it, but the camera was off. So let's see if we can wrestle this pump back into place. Okay, with the car lowered back down, if you take the oil cap off this engine, here, let me bring you guys in here. Okay, you just pop the oil cap off, pull this plastic cover up. Here's your reservoir for your power steering fluid. Fill this up, start the car, run it. It's going to sound terrible because there's going to be air in it. Shut it off, fill it up, do that a couple times, run the steering lock to lock, meaning back and forth until it stops. I found the best way to get all the air out of these systems is to leave this cap cracked and let it sit overnight. If you don't have the ability to do that, just run it through a couple cycles and ship it. But if you can let it sit overnight with the cap just cracked, it'll allow all the air to remove itself from the system. So that's how you change a power steering pump in a Chevy Traverse, GMC Acadia, or Buick Enclave, or one of the older Saturn Outlooks. If you guys found this video helpful or maybe amusing, maybe you want to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube in 20 seconds, hit that like, subscribe, and check out my other content. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.